Okay, hello and welcome to my reaction to chapter 131 of Attack on Titan. I don't know when this is going to be uploaded because my upload schedule is a bit of a mess right now with the new chapter 133 about to come out in a couple of weeks. I don't really know when everything's going to get uploaded. This could be uploaded before then, could be after then. If I were to take a guess, I'd say it's more likely to be uploaded after chapter 133. So if you're watching this after 133, then welcome. Welcome. For anyone who's maybe new to my channel, I'm uploading a good amount of content. I've got this, I've also got some Hunter x Hunter reactions that I'm doing, a good few episodes in now, and I've got new stuff planned for the future. So yeah, if you're watching this, all the good stuff, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, share it around. I don't need to tell you all that. But yeah, I don't want to waste too much time. This is my first time reading a new chapter that I haven't read before in a few months. I read chapters 127 to 130 a couple months ago, about 2 months ago, I think, and then I took a break, watched some Hunter x Hunter, and then made my official return to YouTube a couple of weeks ago. So now I'm back to continue reading. I recently reread a lot of the latest chapters, chapter 123 all the way up to 130 I reread, so it's fresh in my mind, all the stuff that's happened. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so that was chapter 131, and man, that was what I call a fucking good chapter. My god, that was a solid chapter. That was so good. I cannot wait for these episodes to get animated, man. Season 3 coming out December 7th. I don't know, will it be a split core? I've got no idea. I mean, did I say season 3 coming out December 7th? Sorry, I meant season 4. Season 3 was a split core, but we also know Wit Studio have lots of production issues and stuff. I don't know if it'll be a split core when it's Mappa doing it. I mean, I don't know. On the one hand, if it is a split core, that means Attack on Titan gets to be around for a bit longer, right? I guess, if it is a split core. But at the same time, if it's not, it means we get to see this stuff earlier, so that's cool as well. It's a bit of a double-edged sword, really. I guess we'll have to see. I hope we at least fucking know this time. If they go for a split core, I hope they at least decide to tell us this time that they're going to go for a split core. But yeah, and here we see the kids. What were your names again? Halil and Ramsey. Yeah, oh, poor kids. But yeah, that's the thing we were seeing in chapter 123, right? And we're seeing again here is like, Eren isn't special, right? It's exactly what we were talking about in season 3, right? When he came to the realization that he isn't special. He's not some chosen one. He is one of many, one of millions of children just like him, born into bad circumstances, having to, into a world that's cruel to them, and having to make their way through the world. For anyone who's read Berserk, it reminds me of that one line in Berserk, there is no paradise for you to run away to. That line, which is just such an amazing line. It reminds me a lot of that. There is no paradise for you to escape to, where it's like, everywhere fucking sucks. Everywhere in the world, there are people out there who, kids just like Eren, maybe not in the exact same circumstances as Eren, people living really awful lives. Life just decided to give them the short end of the stick, and they're just doing what they can, and Eren isn't special, Eren lives in special circumstances that allow him to take control of the world's fate, but he himself as an individual isn't special, right? He is just one of many kids, and he just happened to be one that was born in the right circumstances to do something very important. But, you swap Eren and Ramsey around, and Ramsey could have easily grown up to be Eren, They could have been switched places, and things could have potentially played out the exact same way, right? Potentially. The circumstances molded them, and that's the whole thing with Reiner as well, right? Reiner and Eren were two people who were both very similar, born on opposite sides of the ocean. If you swapped them around, things probably would have played out exactly the same way, Eren himself even said, like, yeah, I'm the same as you, no, I'm worse than you in this chapter. But it's like, I'm very interesting to see exactly why Eren thinks this is necessary, because it's clear that he feels as though this is the only option, but I'm wondering why. Because the logic he said earlier was, I'm going to destroy all of this. The only way we can move forward without this hate is to crush the world and bury the hate underneath it and all that stuff. Basically, I guess his idea is to wipe the slate clean and start again. I, for one, think that's kind of a terrible idea, because the logic is basically that if we just start from a world where, if we start from a clean slate, then we're good. But the problem is this hate didn't always exist, right? I talked about this a few chapters ago. This hate didn't always exist. There was a point in time in which the world was already a clean slate without this hatred between Eldians and everyone else. There was a point in time where the clean slate was already a thing and the hate developed anyway, right? So it's not as though wiping the world clean and starting again is going to just automatically fix everything, right? We've already seen on the island of Paradise, before the rumbling even finishes, that there's talk of potential rebellions and civil wars in the future. You know, Keith being like, join the Jaegerists for now, but one day you'll rise up and all that stuff, you know. This, and it's like, what's her face? Kiyomi said, you know, all you're doing is making your world smaller, right? The same conflicts are going to happen. People are going to hate each other for different reasons. It's not going to wipe the world clean of all hate. It's just going to reduce everything to a single island. You know, it's not going to fix the problem. It's just going to reduce the scale of it, you know. If you wipe out, it's like Erwin said in season 3, you know, humans will continue to fight until there's one man or less, you know, right? That's what Erwin said. And that's the thing, isn't it? It's like, just killing everyone else isn't going to stop the hatred and conflict and violence. It's just going to shift that to a smaller group of people and change the reasoning behind it. And when I say that killing the Eldians would probably be better than killing everyone outside, I'm not saying that's good either. That's also a stupid idea, right? I wouldn't say a stupid idea, because it would, I guess, solve the problem. But it would solve the problem to the same degree that killing everyone else would solve the problem. You know, yeah, it would solve the immediate issue, but it's not going to fix things. You know, I see that argument all the time where it's like, well, yeah, Zeke's plan, for example, because that's the one plan I can think of off the top of my head that involves wiping out the Eldians. Zeke's plan would wipe out the Eldians, but it's not like it's going to bring about world peace. You know, I see that argument all the time. I saw that argument a lot in the past when discussing like the different plans and stuff with people online. And say, well, if you wipe out the Eldians, that's not going to bring about world peace. So it's like, yeah, obviously, but neither's wiping out everyone else. You know, it's like Erwin said, people are going to continue fighting until there's one person left. If you're looking for total peace, you're not going to achieve that by just killing a bunch of people, right? That's not how it works. You're just going to reduce the scale of the conflict to a smaller group. You're not going to remove the conflict. It's just going to change. The hate is going to change forms. It's going to scale down. And then as you grow, it's going to grow with you until eventually you're in the whole situation again. But this time you're fighting over something different and the sides are different and all this stuff, you know. It's not as simple as that, right? And so I feel like if Eren's plan is really just as simple as kill everyone and start again, then that's not a plan that's going to work in the long term, right? Which is why I'm curious to see if that is his plan. Is that genuinely his full plan? Is that all it is? Like, oh, just kill everyone and start again? Because if so, like, I'm willing to believe that could be his plan, I guess. But if it is, I feel like it is definitely a character flaw. Not as in, like, bad writing. I don't mean that. I mean, like, within his character, it is an intentional character flaw as him as a person, you know. When I say character flaw, I don't want people to misinterpret that as me saying it's badly written. Definitely not. I'm not saying that, but I mean, like, it would be an intentional thing written to make him as a human flawed, you know, flawed as a person. But yeah, man, I really want to see how all this plays out, man. And then we move on. We see all this, you know, they're planning, raising money so that they can eventually move out. You know, Ramsey is even got his hand cut off. You know, he's gone through a lot of stuff to, you know, to try to move his family to somewhere nicer, you know, where they don't have to live in tents and fear of persecution and all that stuff, you know. And then you got all the people running away from the rumbling. Also, I love this. Why is the ground rumbling? Like, that's really, I like that. It's very simple, but I like it. It's a nice way to introduce a title. It's crying. And yeah, people running away from the city. And the birds. Yeah. And then we have Eren. This is something I imagine I talked about a lot in my episode 23 reaction. Chapter 23 reaction. I can't quite remember if I did or not, but I imagine I did. I don't know if I did, but I think I probably did. But about how Eren... I mentioned it earlier this chapter as well, about how Eren, when he visited the outside world, he was visiting the outside world knowing fully well that, he's going to kill these people. These are people he's going to wipe out. This entire world of people, adults, children, men, women, old people, people with really good hearts, even people potentially who want the best for Eldians. There might be a few stragglers out there who how you always have like conspiracy theorists and stuff, people who think the world is flat, that kind of people. There's probably some conspiracy theorists out there in this world who are like, oh, the Malayan propaganda, the Eldians are actually really nice. There's probably those people out there, because there's always those people who go against the common narrative and try to look at what the government is saying and blah 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 and all that stuff. There's probably people out there who 100% would support the islanders if given the opportunity, and they're gonna die too, because they live outside the walls, and that's all that it really is, yeah. And then this is back to the timeline of chapter 123. Yeah, and he's seeing all the people. He's wondering, like, this is another mother like his own, like Carla. She has her own story of love and romance and growing up and all this stuff. And what was Eren's mum think about all this? And then he's thinking about how wiping out all the Eldians might actually be the lesser of two evils, but he's just not willing to do that because it's his people, it's his group, and even if it does make sense logically that it would be the lesser of two evils, because it is the lesser of two evils, to wipe out the Eldians as opposed to wiping out the billions of people outside the walls, even if it is the lesser of two evils, and also, I suppose, wiping out the island wouldn't wipe out all Eldians, because we know there's a lot of Eldians living outside the walls. So I suppose Zeke's plan would be the only way to wipe out all the Eldians in a non-murderous way, And then that boy, and he's like, okay, I'm going to go save that boy. I was like, wait, why am I saving this boy? I'm just going to murder him anyway. Like, what's the point? And he's having this inner conflict of, why would I bother saving this boy if he's just someone I'm going to kill in like a few months anyway? But then he goes and saves him. He goes and saves him anyway, and all that stuff. And he's apologizing to the kid because he's like, he knows he's going to kill him. Man. And then back to the presents with them running away from the rumbling. And this creepy fucking Titan with these creepy eyes. Oh, it's so, this Titan's so creepy. I hate it. I love it, but I hate it. It's so creepy looking. He has lips as well. Lips. Yeah. And then, this is so scary. I love how scary this is, where it's just this wave of death coming, and you can't escape it. It's coming over the cities, over the mountains. There's no way to escape it. It's just this wave of death that's coming towards you, and it's scary. It's so scary. I'm just reading it, and I'm scared. It's such a scary situation to be in. Oh man, and everyone's panicking, running away, and he's thinking back. The island. It's to save Eldia. Yeah. The island. Okay, I think I misread this during the reaction. I think I misread it as this island, it's to save Eldia. But it's more, okay, the island. It's to save Eldia, but it's more than that, yeah. And dropping the money. What was really beyond the walls was nothing like the world I dreamt of. Because he was dreaming of freedom, and like once you get out the walls, it's just an entire world of grass and sand and ocean, free reign for everyone to live. And yeah, I suppose in a way he's creating that world he wanted, because when he imagined it very simply. We defeat there's the enemies outside, the Titans, we kill all of them, and then the world is our oyster. We have a nice default, untouched, unclaimed world to capture and live on freely. And so now he's realized that world doesn't exist. It's a world that's inhabited by people and hatred and conflict. And so he's going to create that world he wanted. He's going to send out the rumbling, destroy everything, destroy humanity, destroy the civilizations outside the walls, and essentially create that world that he was dreaming of having, that clean slate where there's no hatred, there's no conflict, it's just an endless world of grass and sand and water. He is essentially taking it upon himself to create that dream world he saw when he was a kid. Yeah. And then we get this horrible scene with the kids, which this is where I feel the manga is just better than the anime, I really love the anime, but there's some situations in which it just can't compete. Like a scene like this, for example, I highly doubt they are going to show this as it is here in the anime, right? Maybe they'll get around by having like a rock on his head or something like that. Like they'll find some way to get around, but they're not gonna show it this brutally in the anime. And that's what the manga has an advantage with, is that it is just uncompromisingly brutal, and it is going to show you just how brutal the rumbling is. It's not gonna hold your hand and have some sense of like, oh, some people over there's some screaming and some dust going the way. Oh, I guess we don't see the violence. Like, no. They're going to show you fucking close-ups of children having their heads crushed. They're not holding your hand. They're not giving you a nice, easy, clean, child-friendly version of the rumbling. No, they're going to show you it all in its child-crushing, blood-stained glory. And then, of course, the world's being flattened. Yeah, and then we see Eren following behind. And we see Eren as a kid talking about this world he wants, and like I was saying earlier, he is now creating that world he wants. He is creating this blank slate, the world he dreamed of as a child, Finally, we're here at last. This is that sight, right, Armin? Interesting that Armin, It's very interesting that Armin actually sees child Eren. That's very interesting. That's very, very interesting. So is he actually looking at, legitimately looking at child Eren here? Is Eren from the past and Armin from the present being briefly connected in some way? I imagine that's not the case. I imagine it's meant, more to be symbolic, right? Where this is like Eren's mind right now living, that childhood dream. And all that stuff, and he's kind of connecting to that, I guess. And then we get this conversation between Armin and Annie, where he's like, oh yeah, and then they're talking, and and they have this conversation. I was half expecting Armin to be like, it was Bertolt. I was half expecting that to happen, where Armin was going to be like, the reason I came to talk to you was because Bertolt, in my head was influencing me and all that stuff. He didn't actually say that, which surprised me. But yeah. And they have this conversation, but Annie feels guilty because it's like, there's people dying right now, millions of people being crushed, and we're here having a friendly chat, And Armin talks about his own sins and the terrible things he's done, because the world outside wasn't the world he dreamed of. But then we get this bird, which is metaphorical, because in this story, obviously, birds have always represented freedom, the wings of freedom, right? It's the whole scout thing. And so he's talking about how the world outside, it's not what he dreamed of. That dream, that childhood dream is lost. And that's kind of opposites to Eren, isn't it? Because Eren, he went outside and he found out that the world wasn't what he was hoping it would be. And so now he's making it what he was hoping it would be. He's going to crush the world, kill everyone, and bring about that childhood dream of an empty world that the Eldian people can live in freely. In theory, even though that's not how it's going to actually happen. But in theory, it would be this empty world where the Eldians can live and expand and live in peace and happiness, which is not going to happen, but, And Armin here is like, well, this isn't the world I dreamed of. But then this bird comes and it's like, it's that symbol of hope, right? It's that idea that there is still some hope, maybe. I still want to believe that there's still a world we don't know about yet out there, past the walls. And that's a shared thought between Armin and Eren, right? Where Armin sees this bird, and that's representing what we just said, that hope that that dream still exists out there somewhere. And so Armin and Eren are united in that way at the moment. They are both holding out for that possibility that the world they want is still out there. There's still some hope. Man, this was a this was a good damn chapter. This was a good chapter. Oh man. But yeah, I have got a bit of a cold. My throat is a bit sore, so I would love to continue talking about this, but I feel like I've done a solid job talking about it, right? So I'm going to move on to the next chapter now, so I don't lose my voice by the time I finish the next chapter. Yeah, this was really good. I'm sure that after more time reading and thinking and over the next weeks, I'm just going to come to appreciate this stuff even more, but I already really like it. This is so good. Oh. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I've got some other content on my channel. Go check out my Hunter x Hunter reactions if you're a fan of that series. I don't know how many episodes will be out by the time I upload this video, but they're good, so go watch them. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Like the video if you liked it, dislike if you didn't, all that good stuff. My dogs are barking, and I will see you in the next chapter.